have been thinking, like a lot of people around the world, about what's happening in Israel and Gaza. And it's very confusing to figure out what exactly I feel. And I think really more than anything, I just feel grief at the killing that's going on both sides. I myself am Jewish, and so one might think that I would be completely on the side of Israel, and that's not entirely the case. But it is absolutely horrible what Hamas did in this most recent attack. And beyond just the killing that they did and the hostage taking, what else is horrible about it is that there was only ever going to be one response, and they had to know that that was the case. And that response is what's happening now with Israel bombing Gaza and causing more killing. And I don't see where the win is for anybody. Certainly not for Hamas or Palestine. I mean, I'm trying to understand what the calculus was. Okay, we're going to go into Israel and do these things. We know how they're going to respond. You know, what's the win for Hamas and the Palestinians? Maybe there's some long game that I don't see that they're playing, but it's terrible. And what else is terrible is the discord that it's creating around the world. And maybe this is what Hamas was after. In which case, if it is, they're succeeding, because there's a lot of anger in the world, including here in the United States, at Israel's response. I don't know if I agree with Israel's response, but I'm pretty sure I don't agree with people's anger at Israel. Because I don't think that most of us, including myself, including a lot of Jews here in the U.S. who never lived in Israel, I don't think we fully appreciate what Israelis go through. And the only reason I can talk about it is because I've had Israelis tell me about it. Basically, you are living next to people or organizations that don't just dislike you, they want you not to exist. There are people who want the state of Israel not to exist, not to be a state. And they're willing to annihilate Jews in order to accomplish that. That's a unique scenario in the world. I don't know that there's any group of people besides Jews in Israel who are living under those circumstances. So it's almost impossible for anybody else to appreciate that. I live in California. If Mexico were to all of a sudden start lobbing bombs into San Diego, there's only one possible way that the U.S. would respond, and it would be terrible. It would be terrible for Mexico. There would be no mercy. And so, the world is asking Israel to respond to Hamas's attack in a humane way, which is understandable from the standpoint of wanting to not have, innocent civilians in Palestine dead, which has already happened. But Hamas's attack was not humane. So it's kind of crazy at the same time. And there are a lot of protests happening on college campuses here, really painting Israel in a bad light and galvanizing the Palestinians, even in some cases making heroes out of the Hamas attackers. At least this is what I'm reading, and that's terrible. I mean, that's, I think, is really misguided and horrible. There's nothing heroic about what those people did. And again, I'm not saying that Israel's response is necessarily justified. It's really a matter of opinion, but there's no way in which the Hamas attackers are good people or heroes for anybody, not even for the Palestinian people, because they basically threw the Palestinian people under the bus because they knew once we pull off this attack, there's only one way Israel is going to respond. They're going to kill a lot of Palestinian people. There's no other way that could go down. And I think there were students in New York City at NYU who pulled down posters of the Israeli hostages who have been taken by Hamas. Again, the thing is, thinking back to who I was in college, I may well have reacted the same way that these college students today are reacting, because I was not as experienced as I am today. I saw the world more in black and white terms. I was maybe more liberal in certain ways. I see myself to some extent in these protesting college students, but as the person I am today, I can say that I don't agree with them. I'm glad we live in a country where they can protest, and it's right to have the right to protest, and it's right that they're protesting if that's what they feel. But I don't agree with what they're saying, and I do feel it's deeply misguided. I don't know if the world's going to be any closer to understanding the Israel-Palestine conflict better after all of this is said and done. I don't know if Israel and Palestine are going to be any closer to understanding each other better when it's said and done. I think the biggest thing to be sad about in general is just that there's killing happening, and that it doesn't have to be happening. It's a very confusing and overwhelming situation, and it's incredibly sad. And I'm sorry for everybody who's involved. I'm sorry for the people who have died, and I'm sorry for their loved ones who are still alive.